Good morning from Romi. I promised you a video from Romi, the Roma home, and here I am. I've gone away again for 2 nights, and this time, last week I was away as well, and I stayed, I think, 3 miles from home. Gone a bit further today, but it's still only 15 miles away. I am lucky. I live near some beautiful campsites, and I've been to this one quite a few times, and I keep coming back because I just love it. I love the pictures. A lot of them have got hedges around them, so you get nice privacy. It's quite sunny, rural, but there is a town nearby and also a beach, and it's a nice warm day again, sunny, but a bit of a breeze, which is lovely and refreshing. So we came last night, me and Teddy, and again slept really well. And I've been out this morning, taken Teddy for a walk, and yeah, just come back, the quiet, the campsite. I think most people have gone out for the day, so it's really quiet. I do love sitting on campsites, watching children play, and it's so lovely, and it's quite a wholesome way for kids to holiday, I think. And but equally it's nice when everyone goes out and it's all calm and quiet. I just love the campervan lifestyle, camping generally, really. And I've been thinking, as I've mentioned on the previous videos, about grasping the opportunity that I find myself in, the situation that I'm in right now, which is being 58, retired from, I say retirement, I am retired from having a boss, but I'm not pursuing earning, if you see what I mean. But it's very much on my own terms now, and my earnings come from social media accounts, as well as some small pensions, as I've mentioned. And I also live fairly frugally day to day, and going through a separation, been married 3 times, and this will be my 3rd divorce. And yeah, I've done the corporate life, but really embracing at this stage of my life now the opportunity to live very differently to what I have been doing, which is, you know, the sort of the corporate job, the well-paid job, bringing up children. My children are grown now, and being quite materialistic, I guess, wanting the nice house, the nice things, and nice holidays. And I suppose after some health scares for me and ill health in my family, losing my sister, I think I'm kind of more now appreciating life, and I want to grab it, because I do think that it's so easy to get caught up in the putting things off. Yes, one day I'll do this, one day I'll do that. And unfortunately, so many of us, like my sister, for example, never get to draw the state pension. Fortunately for my sister, she'd left work and had some years at home, not working, relying on a small pension, private pension. And I'm glad she did that. And she was grateful to have done that as well, she told me. And I suppose I'm learning from that. I also, my mother with dementia, I've had caring responsibilities for a number of years, and now that mum is well taken care of in a care home, I'm like, I really feel I've been given this golden shot, this opportunity to, well, I suppose I'm at a fork in the road, and I can go the well-worn path, which is the path I've always taken. We're in the process of selling the marital home, my husband and I, or former husband. So my money for half of that house will be coming reasonably soon. I'm living currently at my mother's house. Her house is empty. I'm sort of looking, as I would anyway, even if I lived elsewhere, I would be back and forth looking after it. So I just happen to be able to live there now, which again is a wonderful opportunity, which I'm so grateful for. But do I do the traditional route now and go and buy a house and have my own, as somebody mentioned in the comments, really important to have your own front door key, and I don't disagree with that. I completely agree. But does that front door key necessarily mean bricks and mortar? So that's one option. Pros of that are, I guess, security. Loosely use the word security. Nobody could take that off me. It's my home. It's an address. It's, yeah, future-proofing myself. If I got disabled or anything, you know, it's a base, a home. It's near my family. That's the other thing. Although I wouldn't necessarily need to buy a house in this area. Yeah, somewhere to call my space. I've always had a home, you know, it's having roots. Cons. Coming with that comes the costs. Now, council tax, I think if I'm going to reside in the UK, there is no escaping it. I'm going to have to pay council tax wherever I live. So that's a given. So council tax is one. All the usual utility bills, the gas, electric, which every year seem to go up and up and up and up and up. The commitment. If I go away on trips and travels, it's leaving an empty house. Now, admittedly, my children are adults, they're nearby, they could keep an eye on it, sure. But again, it's the maintenance. You know, things go wrong on a house and leaks and all the rest of it. And yes, I know there's insurance, but it's just something else to worry about if I want to travel. I suppose the disadvantages I'm thinking of more at the moment is more in terms of the tie for me. I as I said, I feel this opportunity now, probably once in a lifetime, to do something differently. And if I buy a house, I feel I'll be back in the mindset of staying put. I won't bother travelling because, well, I've got a lovely house, that type of thing. I should have also mentioned another pro is my money is sort of invested. I've always gone down the road of buying a home is better if you can because of the capital gains on having your own property. Has that worked for me in the past? There has been periods, as I said, I've had 3 divorces. There's been periods of my life where I've definitely made gains on buying properties, and I've always had a mortgage. But in the recent years, the last sort of 5 years or more, I've paid off mortgages. Then I took out another one and then we paid that off. So I've been mortgage free a few times, but the majority of my life I've had a mortgage. And I think there's been times where I've definitely gained from having a home. I think there's times where maybe the money I've spent improving houses hasn't paid off. So if I did buy a house, I would be very much down the line of buying a house that doesn't need a new roof, doesn't need massive electrical plumbing, because I don't have those DIY skills. I'm not sure I'm really interested in developing them. I've done a lot of house renovations where building work's been going on in the house, and I kind of just don't want the stress and the mess, living in that mess again. So yeah, I think a big reno would be no. I think buying a cosmetically unappealing house would be okay, because decorating, new carpets, flooring, that sort of thing, yes, that would be okay. And I think you can make a surprising amount of money just doing that, because a lot of people, when they go view houses, can't see beyond other people's clutter and maybe not so nice decoration. So that would be a possibility. And I would not, at this stage of my life now, be looking for a big home. It would be very, very compact, probably 2-bedroom, maybe 3, but ideally a bungalow. I am at that age now, I'm living in my mother's house, which is a bungalow, and I'm really seeing the benefits, like not just from a mobility aspect. Fortunately, I'm fully mobile, but it's just, I love having the whole house visible. And my grandson's 4. And when he comes over, I just love that I can chat to him wherever I am in the house. It's small enough, I can see him, I know where he is, I love bungalow living. However, bungalows do come at a premium cost, so whether I would be able to afford one, I don't know. And the area, I live in South Wales, so houses are reasonably good price to buy, but there's nicer areas. Nicer areas come with a higher cost, so there's all those things to weigh up. I mean, at the end of the day, I could put my money in bricks and mortar to buy a small home and be done with. Another con though, if I put my money, a vast majority of it would need to be in a smaller home, that leaves me very little in savings to pay for a rainy day or travel. So it's sort of, that's the bit that would make me feel tied. So what are the alternatives? There is the van life option. I've told you before, I love the YouTube channel Liberation, and they don't just talk about people in vans and horse boxes and buses and all the rest of it. They also look at people living completely alternative lifestyles in cob houses, living abroad in tiny houses here in the UK, or really some of them far out the way people live and seemingly happily. So there is van life option. Now I've got Romi. She's very small. She wouldn't be your typical van lifer's choice. I think I could happily do van life in Romi. I love the advantage of the fact that she gets in under barriers, multi-storey car parks. It makes me feel like I'm more in a car. I've had a previous camper van where I took out the pop top and put in a high top, which gave me the advantage of being able to stand inside, but then made it more difficult for parking in certain places. And in the UK, a lot of places are becoming anti-vans. They're putting height barriers in. Car parks, you're allowed to park overnight if you're in a car, but no camper vans. You know, it is a feeling of being anti-van life. Not everywhere. There are some areas that are very favourable, but not all. So that is the bit about Romi I love. Now, Romi is not a stealth van. She is clearly a camper van. And I do, almost every time I go to a supermarket, somebody will come up to me and say, wow, and they're like peering inside. I usually invite them, come and have a look. You don't see that many of them around, and I think people are quite surprised with not the space, because obviously this is a small van, but the fact, the flexibility of the space. I've got 2 benches, you can put a table here, I've got a stove and a fridge and a cabinet for my toilet. You know, there is lots of things in here that you might not get in a normal small minivan, and I do love that. I love the roof that gives me a bit of space if I'm parked somewhere where I can lift the roof, but as I said, also get into small areas. So I think I could live, but probably not, almost certainly not spending every night in the van, because as much as I've loved it for my few trips I've done this year of a few weeks each, and winter as well, the van's got heating. I've done winter travel and it was completely acceptable. But I couldn't do it if I were, like a lot of van lifers try and find places out of the way to park, and they are kind of wild camping in a way. I think that probably wouldn't appeal to me, because I don't want the stress of every day having to find somewhere. So to do it very low cost probably isn't an option. There would be a cost involved in doing van life, and it would mean either buying some land to park on or paying campsites, and that's the sort of the model I've been doing mostly, staying on campsites. I think I've said I'm a member of the Caravan and Motorhome Club, and sites like this, just local ones. Some of them do allow long-term camping on. There's usually restrictions, like either a 28-day limit or 10 months of the year. That's not a problem if you're a van lifer, because for the remaining time you can move on, go somewhere else. I like that idea because I'm not responsible for the land by staying on somebody else's campsite. Higher cost. I would average, I suppose, if I was going to go to campsites, £20 a night, because a lot of campsites, particularly high season, cost more than that, but I don't think I would stay on campsites every night. So I think an average would be £20 a night. So I think between 500 and 600 a month for that. If people have got mortgages, that's obviously a lot less than a mortgage. But for me, as I don't have a mortgage, it's a cost. But the advantage does give me the itchy feet being scratched, because it's momentum, it's movement. And that is what I've been really enjoying this past few months, is getting out, free of my caring responsibilities, and being solo gives me more flexibility, and just going out and exploring, and I'm really enjoying that. The last few camps I've done, I've mostly been sitting still, and that's enjoyable as well. But the trip I did in February was going around the UK, going to museums, RAF museums, the space set, just indulging myself in all the things that really interest me. So I won't do that in a bricks and mortar house, staying at home. I'll be less inclined. I'll probably do a few trips a year, but there wouldn't be the constant getting my curiosity piqued, because I'd be staying at home more and doing all the jobs that come with staying at home. Oh, I've got to do the washing. Oh, I've got to clean I've got to cut the grass. Well, I don't have grass at my mother's, but if I had a home, I'd probably have grass, all the tasks that need doing. So there is, and that's what everyone on the Liberation channel mention, is the freedom. This is very appealing to me, because I've never had freedom. And I don't say that in how awful my life has been, because it's been a freedom that has been given benefits of other way, of having children, having a job. I feel though and caring for my mother, that now that's why this is the opportunity I've got now, where I don't have the same level of commitments, and I do have the possibility to roam a bit. So I think the model would be probably van life for me, and I am thinking about, for the next 12 months, going on very regular van trips. I still have some commitments at home, not least my son is getting married later this year. So, most of them are very happy events, being around to see my children and my grandson, my mother. So there will be trips around home, but my van trips would be mainly in the UK, realistically. So my trips would be based around probably circular places, so I could go out, come back, go out somewhere else, come back. That is how I see it panning out. As well as campsites, to balance the cost a little bit, I've been spending some nights in car parks, and I really don't mind that. The car parks have to be having signs that don't ban overnight camping. There's a surprising amount that do, but there are some that allow it, and that's great. Mid Wales, for example, you are allowed to stay, I'm not sure if it's 2 nights in 7 in each car park, and there are many very, very lovely car parks around the Mid Wales area, which I've done many times, but that's another area I would love to go and explore more of. And the other places, surprisingly, are service stations. Now, this is new to me this year. I've never stayed in a service station before, but while I've been doing fairly lengthy trips, there was one from through the Midlands up to North Yorkshire. That's the trip I did in February, and then London last month. To break up the trip, because I've got Teddy with me and I've got to keep getting her out to exercise and let her have a wee and things, I try not to travel too much in one go. And so the service stations have been a sort of a necessity. But I'm surprised how much I love the service stations I've stayed in. Now, usually you can only spend sort of 2 hours park for free, but you can pay in most service stations. I think the most expensive one I'd stayed in was a sort of an extra, and I paid the same as a lorry. It was like £30 for the night, so that was excessive. But the majority of them have been £15. And for that, I stay in the car park, the regular car parks, which tend to empty out at night. If people are staying, they tend to go to where the caravans and motorhomes are. So far, I have felt really safe in these places. The security is excellent. They've all got cameras and lights everywhere. You've got the toilets, showers, shops 24/7. And although they are beside a motorway, I sleep really well anyway. As I said, I've grown up on a main road, so I'm used to noise. It doesn't bother me. I sleep really well. And the other good thing is, because with Teddy, they've got, the ones I've stayed in anyway, areas dedicated for dog walking, and they are surprisingly lovely. Mown grass, shrubs, plants. So ideal. Now, I wouldn't stay more than one night at each one, but for trips around the UK, for me, they proved to be a nice stop off. When I stay in those, I don't put my roof up, and I tend to be reasonably stealthy, although I'm allowed to be there. There are apps that you can, and I've got the apps where you can look for where people say, yes, you can park here for free. They've been good. The only thing I will say about them is the more popular ones, you've got to be there quite early because they tend to fill up. And by popular, I mean the ones around coastal areas. And also, they're okay, but for me, and this is a personal thing, I don't really like parking where there are lots of other vans around. Sometimes it's nice, there's a bit of camaraderie about it. But equally, where there are lots of people in vans, I tend to find people are less, what can I say? You find the bad side of van life. So it'll be people leaving rubbish behind and being quite antisocial about it. And I don't like that. So I'd rather stay away from those kinds of areas. That's just me. And I'm rambling on about here, and get back to the point of my options. So van life is an obvious one. I already have Romi. Fuel is a negative for it because fuel costs are through the roof at the moment. But like I've said, to enjoy van life, I don't really feel the need to travel vast distances. And I do love the UK. There's so many parts of the UK I haven't explored. Scotland, never been to Scotland. I've been to Scotland, but just not in a van. And everyone is urging me to go to Scotland. Ireland. Just so many places still to explore. And so many quirky things to see. So, yeah, I think for the UK, definitely. I've mentioned before my desire to go to Europe at some point. And I've also explained the block I've got on it is my nervousness of driving over on the continent. I think that's something I could and will overcome. So that's a definite possibility, and it's one I'm already exploring. That's why I'm out pretty much every weekend. I love it. I think it's good for my mental health. I really do decompress. Not that my life is stressful anyway, but it's just being around the same house and the home. It's just lovely to get away. Really find it watching the wildlife, little magpie outside. And I know Teddy loves it as well. I know the difference in Teddy. I think van life suits her. She loves the little walks and the exploring. And I can just tell with her attitude when she's happy, when she's a bit down. So I really can't find many disadvantages for doing a bit of van life travel for the next year or longer. While I'm doing the van life travels, I'm also intending to explore other potential ways of living. So I'd love to meet somebody who's got a narrowboat. I would love to have an honest conversation with someone who lives on board or a houseboat. What is it like, the costs, the reality. I know it's not all glamorous and it is a lot of work, maintenance costs, you know, which I'm thinking is probably, it's probably going to be on par with owning a house, I suspect, for me, as I don't have a mortgage. But I am interested in exploring it because I do love the waterways. I find them very soothing and peaceful, if you avoid the holiday ones. But yeah, that's an option to explore. And tiny house living, people who are living in communities. I don't know if I'd want to go to a community. I am a bit of a lone wolf, and whilst I am sociable and like to mix, I don't know if I'd want to live in a community. But I would like to go and look at how people are living alternative lifestyles. Really, really interested in that. A lot of my choices at the moment are dictated around the fact that I have Teddy, and so flying is out of the question, and I don't really want to fly anyway. Rail travel, I love rail travel, and if I didn't have Teddy, that is probably what I would do again, is go off on an interrail trip. I loved that, did that last year with my husband, we were together then, loved it. With Teddy, it would just be too stressful for her. I wouldn't enjoy it. So it's not an option right now. But in the future, that might be something I come back to. And yeah, definitely, once I do start going over to Europe, whenever that is, I think that could be a nice blended way of living. Is, you know, I loved Budapest. I love Central Europe. On the interrail trip last year, we did a lot of country. We did France, Germany, Switzerland, Austria. The places I loved most of all were the former Soviet countries, I guess. The Budapest, Slovakia. Absolutely loved the country. Really, really. Just, there was something about the feeling of being in both those places. And as you know, I go on my intuition very much now. I can't describe how comfortable I felt in both those countries, and there is so much of Central Europe to explore. So that's definitely somewhere, either by train or driving. Definitely would love to do more of that. So yeah, I do feel very fortunate that I'm even talking about this, the options in front of me. I'm single at the moment. I'm reasonably free, not tied with, other than my children, which are not ties. They're people I want to see, and my mother included. So, but as in terms of that's what's tying me to the UK at the moment. I just think it's so exciting that I've got these opportunities, and being single, I feel, has given me even more of a license to do what I want. And it's one of the reasons that I'm intending to stay single. I'm just loving it, really, really. And it's only been, well, officially since Christmas, but we've been not living together since last summer. And yeah, I just feel now is the time, and I want to document it as well. Because I know from the comments that I'm getting on this channel now, when I'm talking more about retiring early, lifestyle, and all the other things I talk about, I know a lot of you have kind of come to the same mindset that I've come to, that it's such a trap being in the way we've probably been socialised about the jobs. Most of us are at the stage now where we're thinking of or already have left the jobs, but how much money do you need conversation, you know? I think I can live really quite happily on my current income. So yeah, that is my thoughts. I'm starting immediately. We're in last few days of May. I've got a few commitments next week in terms of appointments, doctor's appointments, taking my mother to clinic, a few things going on next week. But then I've got a couple of weeks gap where I am going to go off on another UK trip in Romi. I'll be back for another commitment at the end of the month, and then July is a little bit not quite sure at the moment, but then August again another trip, September another trip, and then we're approaching the autumn, different conversation then for the winter. So I guess I'm looking at a flexible van life centric way, not probably spending 100% of my time in Romi because having to come home, but also looking at still going to hotels, Airbnbs, other, as well as Romi. And in fact, I say I got commitments next week. I do have an overnight trip as well. And I'll tell you all about that from the trip because I'll be recording it. So that's quite an exciting one, and it's somewhere I've been wanting to visit for quite a while. So I will see you on that trip, and please keep the comments coming. I love reading and answering them all.